The metal mule Max pannier is the only pannier to use a silicon seal to ensure they're watertight to IP66 classification. Metal mule, engineered to be different.
So I am Claire Elsdon, and 2 years ago I set off on my little Suzuki DLZ to ride from London to Cape Town on my own. Why? Because I was been doing my job in the city for about 7 years, and I'd sort of lost my buttons, you'd have thought, for it. It was just, I was sort of drained of the life force, basically, and I wasn't sure what to do. And I was sort of umming and ahhing, and then I had this moment of clarity one day, because my grandmother, who is 86, I think at the time, broke both the bones in her arm, and so she had to go to hospital and get it fixed and stuff. So I went to see her the day after, and she'd suddenly just transformed from being this really robust northern woman to this tiny old vulnerable old lady. And for some reason she just said to me, I wish that when I was your age I'd done the things I'd wanted to do and not the things other people expected me to do. And it was a real moment of thinking, well, actually I'm really fortunate, I've got my health, I've got a bit of money in the bank, I haven't got any kids or anything that means that this is impossible. So why don't I just get on my motorbike and have an adventure and see what happens? Because just being a bit afraid of what might happen isn't much of an excuse, and I don't want to be 120 in a care home one day sipping Horlicks wishing that I had. So I thought, well, I'll just do it. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I don't think I ever really fit in anywhere, and that's not in a tragic sort of a way. I'm used to not really fitting in. I work in a very male-dominated environment at work, so I'm really in the minority there. And in a way, I've never had a problem with that. I just do what I want to do, and I don't tend to notice half the time that I'm a woman and everyone else is a man, or that I'm on my own or whatever. And actually, I think it's really an advantage. For me, it was an advantage to travel on my own, because I think people thought I was just that much more approachable, because maybe they could see that I probably was more vulnerable because I was on my own, and maybe they felt more inclined to help me. Or maybe it was just the fact that they thought, well, who knows? But actually, for me, it worked really well. So yeah, it was good fun. Well, originally I sort of wanted to do the route across to Mongolia, but I was really desperate to quit my job, and I needed to wait till the July before I could leave. So, and the problem with Mongolia is it's kind of in thick, sort of serious sub-zero temperatures for, I think, 8 months of the year. And so I wouldn't have had enough time to have got there before it would have turned to deep frost again. So I thought, well, actually, the other thing I'd really have always felt drawn to doing is riding across Africa. So I thought, well, let's just go for it. And the East Coast route seemed to be a bit more travelled. So I thought, if I do get into situations, there's better chance of finding help and maybe other people who can speak English and that kind of thing. I don't speak French or Portuguese, so I just thought the West Coast might be a bit trickier. So that was the logic, really. Lois was a massive inspiration, and I'd read her books before I set off, and I thought, well, yeah, I kind of love the whole spirit of it, but I'd ridden a bike for 7 years before I set off anyway, which started off as a commuting thing, and then I'd got into off-roading in Wales, and then I'd been to South Africa and stuff. So I'd done off-roading before in other countries and absolutely loved it, and I just loved the freedom of two wheels and the independence of it. So I was a bit scared about the fact that I didn't know anything really about how the bike actually worked or how to maintain it, but I kind of figured that I'd be able to pick up what I needed to know beforehand and during. So I kind of actually, also the other thing is, I didn't really have enough time to think too much about the whole thing, because I decided to do it in April and I'd set off by September. So it was all such a whirlwind, I just didn't take that much time to ponder, really. Well, it has been rather brutal, because I got back to London in April time. It was late April, and within about 2 weeks I got up to go to work one day and was going to ride my bike Susie to work, and she'd gone. So someone had cut through the chain attached to the wall anchor, and she'd just gone. So that was horrific, actually, because I'd never had a bike nick before, and I'd always planned on keeping that bike forever. Yeah, she is a Suzuki DLZ. She was blue, and the distinguishing features, she had a kickstart, which is pretty unusual. Also a big 17-litre Safari fuel tank that had gone quite yellowed. It had been transparent. Service grips, fat bars, rear rack, B&B engine casings, And quite notably, if you hop underneath the bike, you'll see the suspension linkages say Lust Racing on them, which is memorable, if nothing else. Well, I would have to say I pity you for doing something so cruel, and I don't know why you would have done that. However, if you could find it in your poverty-stricken little heart to actually just dig deep and give me my bike back, I would be phenomenally grateful, and the world and the universe of karma would love you again. But if you continue to deprive me of my bike, I fear that bad things may come to you. Not from me personally, but from the universe. So for your own health and well-being, please return it to the police or let me know somehow where it is, and I would be beyond happy and grateful. But you must stop stealing. It's not good. Get a career or something, please. Train, take an apprenticeship, whatever you need to do, but stop stealing. I think.
The Metal Mule Max Pannier is the only pannier to use a silicon seal to ensure they're watertight to IP66 classification. Metal Mule, engineered to be different.